Chris Mahlmann is mostly known for his mission here at GreatNews.Life, founding the company of exclusively positive news. Through the 16 years of him having this company and sharing positivity throughout the region, he's created several different features from Life in the Spotlight, Survivor Series, Veteran Series, and one that we're going to talk about a little bit more today, Leadership Life. So this is a sort of, I guess you'd probably call it the leadership arm or leadership feature that we have within Great News. And we're kind of expanding, I think, making it a podcast. So tell us a little bit about Leadership Life and how we got here today.
Thank you. It started sort of as a wacky idea, just like the company did overall. And I was getting to meet through Valpo Life and all those other life sites, I was getting to meet tons and tons of leaders. And this was an opportunity for me to share their story of people we were working with or folks that are running cities or organizations or nonprofits in our communities. But it was a way for me to help tell their story to our audience. But selfishly, it was also an opportunity for me to just learn about them. How did you become a leader? Who mentored you? What did they teach you? What did you keep? What did you discard along the way? Was it a coach? Was it a teacher? But I'm fascinated to learn how people learn and who shapes them, because you see someone and you're like, oh, they're very charismatic, or they're very effective, or they're very passionate, or they're really disciplined, or they're very empathetic, whatever it is they're bringing that you're like, oh, this person has something special. I want to know how they got to something special, how they refined to something special, because there's probably something I can learn from it. And then ideally, if you can share that out with a bunch of people, well, that's fun. And if we're going to have Bill Hanna's of the world or Governor Holcomb's of the world or Bert Cook's of the world, how do we learn from these people? It's one of the things I enjoy the most, because I feel like I get a little smarter every time. And that really began as an interview series we started doing a number of years ago. Yeah. Then we'd sort of add some other people in. We've done a couple as a roundtable where we're learning from superintendents or mayors. So just like anything I'm involved with, it's probably not nearly as structured or organized as it could be, but it mostly begins as a hunch of, hey, I want to help these people share the story, and what could I learn in the process? Maybe what could everybody else learn in the process?
It sounds like this interview series is almost like we've talked a lot about all about the girls is my way to kind of give this empowerment to other women that I get from my career. This is your version of that, where you get to, of course, learn and absorb some leadership information, but also give that to your audience as well.
If I'm benefiting from it, why wouldn't you give it to a bunch of other people?
Absolutely.
I don't know that everybody wants to learn all about leadership, just like everybody doesn't want to learn about tens of other things. But if you want to learn about it, they're right there. And this makes it easily accessible. We cut them up into reels and do other stuff to make it digestible. But if you had a chance, from my standpoint, if you had a chance to sit down with, whether it's Bill Hanna that ran the RDA, or Governor Holcomb that ran the state, or folks that are running to be the governor, folks that are current sitting U.S. congressmen, to mayors and chairmen CEOs and leaders and people that have built businesses and they've done something. And I'm looking at it and saying, they know stuff. So what do they know? How could I possibly learn it? And then it's fun to share it. And it's very much like All About the Girls is, hey, I'm benefiting from all this. How do I share this with other people? Because not everybody gets access to the same people that you have access to. So
not everybody gets that benefit. Yeah, absolutely.
And
let's make it so.
Fortunate enough, we've been doing this long enough that if we call up the governor and say, could you come by and share some things with us? They come by. And probably it all began when we were a tiny little rounding error of a company on Napoleon in Valpo, and I called up the governor, then Mitch Daniels of Indiana, and said, hey, we're this little thing up here, and we've got some news to share. Would you possibly think of coming by? And then he came by, and it was great, and he got to meet our team, and we sat down and learned about a lot of this stuff. Then a bunch of people said, well, how did you get the governor to come? Who was helpful in facilitating making that happen? I said, well, we just call the governor.
And he
came by.
Yeah.
And I learned there that, like a lot of things in life, you gotta step into what you're going to potentially do. So all these people that we've interviewed, I don't know, half of them might not have known who the heck we were before they came, but then they knew a lot about us after they came. And the main thing is, it was just interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's not to learn? Are they all of the same persuasion, thinking, attitude, background? No, they're all completely different, but that's how you learn.
Yeah. And I think that kind of brings us to my next question, and maybe touches on my next question a little bit too, is what is so important to you about this? Why is this Leadership Life kind of mission within Great News Life's mission so important to you?
Because everyone has the opportunity to lead in every aspect of their life, whether they're a student, a husband, a wife, a son, daughter, helper, they're part of an organization.
Team member, team leader, doesn't matter.
Yeah, everyone should lead their own life and should lead in their life, whatever it is they're called upon. So I don't really care what your interest is, but if you're any one of those people, what's the way to be the best you possibly can be is to get smarter, to learn from others.
Yep.
And I'm a little bit more wired towards the business end of things or the critical thinking end of things. And I just think, okay, if we could interview all these people and share a handful of tips for all these folks, couldn't all of them be better off? If there's 5 people around a table and no one's sure who's going to lead, my goal is every one of you. Like, don't wait for that other person to lead. Oh, well, what if I step in and they felt threatened? They won't. They shouldn't. So go in, lead, invite them in to lead as well, and then invite them, and then invite them. How about everybody just leads and let's get over it? So I view we can all have much better control of our lives. We can all have much better control of our careers. And we could do it by actually watching people that have done it and then say, how'd you do it? And I look at it as I'm 59. Like, I've made thousands of mistakes in my lifetime, and even not mistakes, but just failures. I tried to do something. I was talking to Andy earlier today in a session, Andy from St. Joe County. And you think about it, I've probably done 1,000 things wrong, but you learn about 500 things in doing those 1,000 things wrong. And first time you ride a bike, most people fall down.
You spill. Yeah.
Most people, the first time they try to swim, they go under.
Yeah.
Most people try to do just about anything. It goes pear-shaped or it doesn't
fail
work.
a little bit. Yeah.
But you don't think, oh my God, I fell off my bike, so I'll never ride a bike.
Yeah.
I went under, so I'll never swim again. I wasn't good the first time I played basketball, so I'm never going to try again.
Right.
And I think at leadership, a lot of people are like, well, I tried that one thing and it didn't, maybe I'm just not a leader. No one would say that if you fall off your bike and you're like, well, maybe you're just not a bike rider. No, just go again.
You haven't learned yet. You've got to.
Maybe you got to fall 20 times.
Yeah.
But on the 18th time, no kid ever says, Mom, maybe I'm not a bike rider. But then we get to be adults and lots of kids say to their moms, maybe I'm not a leader.
Yeah.
Why? Like, because you didn't
barely
do it
done
the
it.
second time or the third time. Your mom, if you came in there, if you were riding a bike, she'd be like, Johnny, just go try. Come on, you fell twice. Who cares?
Yeah.
So if you're 20 or 30 or 40 and you're growing in your leadership career and you're like, I'm not sure. So what?
Yep.
No one's sure. Get on the bike. Go ride.
Yep. Well said. Well said. So if this is all about learning, and this is, Leadership Life is built to help folks learn from others and help those that have grown and done other things, teach others how to do that, or maybe how not to do that sometimes. What are some of the favorite lessons that you've learned through all of these kind of interviews with many different people through the years? What are some takeaways that you could give?
Every one of them has made a laundry list of mistakes. Every one of them have had significant setbacks.
Yep.
Every one of them had tons of self-doubt, wondered if they're an imposter in the role they're in, or wasn't sure how to take the next step, or thought they were taking the next step, and all of a sudden something went pear-shaped and it got handed to them.
That was the edge of the cliff. Yeah.
And they basically have similar kind of experiences where I had, where you feel like this is the right thing to do, and then you do it. God darn, I wish I would have actually planned for that better. Maybe it would have even gone better, or even maybe I just would have been less stressed out while it was going the way it was going to go. But honestly, they're just real people.
Yeah.
Somebody sitting in the mayor's office, they're exactly the same kind of person you are. Everybody's had situations go sideways for them. And that's where you really watch, oh, yeah, that's how they adapted to that. Wow, they took a step back and then a step over and then got into this, or they didn't let that deter them and they moved forward. Whatever they did, what did they learn?
Yep.
What you learn also through these leaders is they're doing the best job they possibly can, but you don't know what's happening in their personal life. You don't know what's happened previously to them in a career. You don't know that what they're dealing with, an employee in a department that's causing a lot of issues, or some controversy happening in their community that's causing a lot of issues. And these folks, by and large, are just doing literally the best job they possibly can. Are they all doing it the exact same way I would do it? Of course not. But if people, the way I did this, the whole business was sort of goofy. So let's spend significantly less time judging and more time learning.
Yeah.
And you might learn things you liked. You might learn things you didn't, but you learned. And the judgment part, just let it go.
So in honor of this Leadership Life sort of launch, I want to flip the script a little bit and ask you some questions like what you would ask in those interviews. Are you ready for that?
I think we're good. I think this is a wrap. Let's close it out now. I like being on the asking side, but no, go ahead.
Okay, good. Thanks
I'll take
for
my chances.
playing my games. So who is Chris Mahlmann and how did you get to where you are today?
By being crazy and being positive. And I think both are
and
absolutely.
And maybe crazy positive.
Yes, and crazy positive. When you combine the best, it works better.
Yeah.
I've found in life that if you're just crazy, that doesn't always work out so well.
Not always palatable.
If you're just positive, it's a little naive and you can get your head handed to you. But if you combine both, it works out okay. I grew up a financial markets kid. My family worked in that business their whole life. I grew up in that business, spent, first half of my life there working somehow related to trading and information and market activity and bringing information together and distributing it back out. So I'm sort of doing the same exact thing now that I did back then. Except it's just in this world. I do it with
what you're taking
Boys and Girls
different.
Club and the volleyball match. And it used to be crude oil prices and bond quotes. Didn't necessarily choose it. It sort of chose me or that was destiny. Did that for a long time, then moved to Valpo, married a Valpo girl, moved to Valpo 18 years ago, started this 16 years ago, and essentially was very similar to a lot that I do. It's, hey, why don't we just blank? Why don't we start Leadership Life? When you said, hey, I want to do this all about the growth. Great, let's do it. Let's just start it next month. And so I said, why don't we just focus on the positive stuff? And I think we'll give this idea to the local media and see if they run with it. And they weren't so wild about it. So I said, okay, well, heck, I'll run with it. And I think I just figured out in the second half of my life how to use the skills I learned in the first half of my life for something that drives my heart in the second half of my life. I didn't dislike being in the financial markets. It's exciting. I like technology. I like speed. I liked information handling. I like absorbing lots of information and then distilling it down to what you really need to know.
Seems to match you as a person a little bit.
I read.
Quick,
I'm just information hound. And then I just said, okay, I don't know, maybe I'll just try doing this. I want to learn about the local area, so I need to go find all this stuff. When I find it, why don't I just share it? And my mom beat into our heads as a kid lots of lessons, but one of them was if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And personally, that's probably one of my biggest challenges is I think very analytically and very critically. So if I see something out of alignment, why is it like that? It shouldn't be. That's not its ideal state. That's not exactly a positive news guy, but the lesson I learned is that's what you try to achieve. So while I might wake up thinking something real critical, I do constantly in my mind try to dial back. What would my mom teach me? She'd say, if you don't have anything nice to say, just zip it. And she would say that a lot, like, zip it, just don't. You don't have to talk about it at all. she would also teach you to be polite and respectful and gentlemanly and all those other kind of things you're supposed to learn in life that I think most people would be a little bit better off if they learned.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like those
just-
soft skills you mentioned earlier, but just on,
just
on
like the
hyperspeed.
business, it's a failure in the process of becoming successful. People are a failure in the process of becoming successful. So I looked at it and said, I don't know if this is going to work. First handful of years, I was definitely given stacks of information that says, hey, they were absolutely right. This isn't going to work. This was moronic, ill-conceived, poorly planned, all that kind of stuff. And what I learned more than anything else is, and probably my dad taught me this as much as anything, it's just go. If you really want it, you can will it to happen. And that was tested more than anything else. So who have I become in this? I got humbled. You think you're real smart and you got a great idea and you're going to run with it. Well, that's great. But when you think you're real smart and you got a great idea and you're going to run with it and you got a house and a bank account and retirement and savings and a couple cars and a couple boats, and then all of a sudden you got that great idea and the house, you're like, maybe I wasn't so smart after all. And then you realize, no, you're smart enough, but it wasn't well planned enough. And if you think about how the company is growing and how I've grown, I realize all my limitations. And my limitations personally are managed by my wife. My limitations professionally at work are managed by you and by Ashley. So I'm a work in progress. What do? You find, what am I good at? I'm going to do that. And I'm going to find some other people around me that are good at the things I suck at. So it's been a lot of fun. I've probably accelerated my learning at a pace I never thought I was going to by making a lot of mistakes along the way. And I've probably just really leaned into that philosophy of, if you know it's the right thing to do, just keep on doing it and be so determined in doing it that when you fall off the bike, you just get on the bike. When you fall off the bike, you get on the bike.
No,
you do that all day long.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if you're a kid, what do you do the next morning? You wake up, your knees are banged up, your shoulder, whatever, you're sore, you eat breakfast, and then you go outside and you try to ride the bike again.
Yeah.
And I think as adults, we all need to say, no, I'm not too old to ride a bike. I'm going to get the bike out of the garage. I'm going to actually get it all cleaned up and ready to go. And I'm going to learn how to ride a bike again, because there's no reason you can't. And if you haven't been a leader, just decide, I'd like to be one. Are you going to be one tomorrow? No, of course not. But you could begin to be one tomorrow. And you take this little piece, you take that little piece, you add in this. But people could do, whether it's medically or physically or mentally, people could do crazy, unbelievable things. And we're all a fraction of who we possibly could be. So why wouldn't you want the nuggets to be better than you are? Because they're right there. And in our case, they're free. Like you can just go watch this stuff, read this stuff. You don't subscribe, you're not whatever.
Yes, free content.
All of our stuff is out there for the benefit of everybody that wants to use it. And if you say, I'm not interested in leadership, I would just ask, how well is that going for you? Like in your life, do you not want to be a good mom or dad or brother or cousin?
You don't have to want to be a leader at your current career to want to learn from leaders, because that leadership goes, like you said, it's your parenting, it's your day-to-day, it's how you accomplish goals in your own personal life, it's how you strive in your career. It's all of those things that can be benefited from learning from leaders. It doesn't have to be, well, I don't want to be a CEO. Well, that's okay. That doesn't mean you can't learn from a CEO.
If there's 100 people in a company, there's potentially 100 leaders in that company. If there's 1,000 people in the company, it's not that, oh, well, there's one leader at this company and there's another leader at that company. No, there's 1,000 people. A lot of people think, if I'm anything but that figurehead that's up top, I'm not a leader. No, you could be a leader as a kid. You're a leader on your team. You could be the 12th person on a basketball team, and you're a leader because you work just as hard as the first person on the team, even though you're hardly ever going to play. you're probably honestly more of a leader maybe than the first starting point guard is that scores all the time, because you're showing up to do what you're supposed to be doing, even when there's no likely payoff for you whatsoever. I'd say, damn, that's a leader in the making right there.
Yeah.
And people might not be thinking, oh, I thought you need to be the boss person. No, sometimes the people that say absolutely nothing are the best leaders in the world.
Well said. So within Leadership Live, you talk often to these leaders about good news happening with in their companies, organizations, industries, kind of what is their good news. So tell me a little bit, what are 2 or 3 good news stories happening within GreatNews.Life?
I would say you're one of them. Ashley's one of them. Cammie's one of them. Sarah's one of them. We probably got 50 or 60 of them right now. And that, to me, it's not just like we've got great people that could go out and do things so I don't have to do them, but we have more than we ever had in our life. What I call our gas tank is give a shit. And we have a core team of full-time employees. Our gas tank is full. We have 25 people in the field between social and coverage and people doing part-time work, writing wherever they're at, from Whiting to Elkhart. Their gas tank is full. We got 30 plus kids in our student journalism program. Their gas tank is full. The power of having, and we talk about leadership, all of those people are leaders. We don't have one leader. It's not like I was a leader and now you're the leader. Cool.
No.
Now
Because I have 7 leaders that I depend on to help me every day.
Yeah. And you and I had the conversation. Hey, if I just give you the thing, you're going to be as worn out as I am. And the only way we could do that is if there's more of you, and then there's more of them, and then there's more of them, and the whole thing gets spread around. And it is like a family. It is like a team. It is like a company. But from my standpoint, the single best thing we've done is grow people. I think we've made a pretty darn good impact on Northwest Indiana. We're making an impact on Northern Indiana now in St. Joe and Elkhart County. But probably more than anything else, we just covered 52 graduations across 5 counties. I did 2. 50 graduations were done by somebody else. I was happy as a clam to do 2 because I still like doing them. And that's actually where I enjoy it the most. But 50 were done by somebody else. And that person was scheduled, arranged, directions, coordinated with the schools, coordinated with the photographer, the equipment. I had nothing to do with any of that whatsoever. All that's happening while we're doing hundreds of people in downtown Valpo at All About the Girls, an event I have nothing to do with whatsoever. So you do all that content, you produce tons of good news, you go to all the graduations, you have All About the Girls, and all of that is done by a team of people that have a full gas tank and that actually really don't just care about the mission, they care about each other.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you think, okay, yeah, that's why I studied all these leaders through the years.
To build that. So
that I could get smart enough to keep the thing going. And am I the smartest in the world right now? No, God, no. I hope there's 150 more interviews so I get somewhat closer to being smart. And I think if everybody viewed that as, hey, listen, this could be a guy that or gal that has a completely different view of the world than I do, but there's something I could learn.
Yes.
So I'm a learner. Probably, if you're asking who I am, I'm a learner. I'm a communicator. I'm a very hard-driven, critical thinking person that wants to make a living doing nice stuff.
I love that. Well said. So, and that ties into my last question, which is, with that said, and who you are and the good news happening here with the team, where do you feel that you've brought sort of something unique to what you're doing, and where do you feel that your impact is most felt?
I hope people really enjoy the content. And that's the reason why we're doing it in the first place, is I think there's a story to be told. We had a couple weeks in here, we had the 3 McDermott brothers, and you see they're unbelievably similar in some ways, very different in some ways. These 2 are somewhat more similar in these ways, but these 2 are similar in those ways. And you just realize, okay, mom, mentored them, dad mentored them, business people mentored them. They have different personalities to it.
Absolutely.
But these two guys are running a commercial real estate company. This guy's running a city, and they all have some very common things to them. So I think we make that kind of stuff approachable for people.
Yes.
Most times someone's going to interview the mayor and they're going to be like, Mayor, what are the strategic directions for the city? And I think we need to be green and develop more housing, whatever. It's not that that's unessential information,
Correct.
but I think to most it's pretty dull. We knew with doing some of these interview the mayors about their cities, we knew that was pretty dull. And so we did the On the Streets with the Mayor series, where we'd go out in a car, go out in the parks and at their projects and actually just talk like normal people. So I think, back to your question, I think it's a good bit of content that's interesting, enjoyable to watch. I don't think any of them are boring because you learn a little bit more about the personal side of it. And I think they're good stories that say all these leaders developed here locally.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the region doesn't have the most positive image of itself. And from someone that comes from outside the region here, I would look at it and say, look at all these leaders you developed. You're doing pretty good. You got a lot of projects that have gotten done by people cooperating. You're doing pretty good. You got industries that are developing where there weren't before. That's pretty good. So celebrate what you got, learn a little bit more about it, and ideally pick something from one or more of these people that you're like, oh, I see what they got going on. I'm going to try to incorporate that in my leadership, whatever it is.
Awesome. Well, you have officially had your first Leadership Life interview. Maybe some more to come in the future. And now you're going to be on a podcast, and you're going to be pretty much famous.
So like TMZ, they're going to be calling pretty soon.
ABC, Today Show, yeah.
And is my hair good for a podcast?
We'll work on it.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for making me comfortable in your podcast, do all this kind of stuff realm. An old dog can learn new tricks sometimes.
And we're excited to see him, and we're excited to see all of the folks you're going to bring and help us learn more from.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. So listen to Leadership Live. Join this guy the second Monday of every month as we launch Leadership Life ongoing, and maybe with some extra episodes, it sounds like, in the works as well.
I'm going to throw as many as you'll have scheduled for me. So you can find it everywhere across our social media, Spotify, YouTube, podcast, all the platforms. And if you've got folks that you think would be a good interview for us to do on a Leadership Life standpoint, be sure to send them along, share at GreatNews.Life, and we will look to keep bringing you a monthly update from those that lead, how they lead, and what maybe you can learn from it. Thanks much.